believe you can hear me. So let's get this started. So my name is KodeCamp, okay, and we're going to be looking at Google Maps today. Yeah, we're going to be looking at Google Maps, okay. And of course, Google Maps this is actually one very important aspect of mobile app development products. Of course, it helps you to know the location of you can actually find the location of products, services, persons, and the likes. Okay, and then also building applications with Google Maps. It helps you to add features to your application. Okay, like satellite imagery. Okay, it even has features to UI, so you can control maps, location tracking, location markers. So you can actually, you can even add value to standard Google Maps by showing information from your own data set. Like for example, locations of certain restaurants, a well-known probably fishing area. You can also create games, okay, in which probably the player explores the physical world, like in a treasure hunt. Okay, so Google Map is actually it's a very, very nice feature to actually have in your application. So today we're basically going to learn how to get an API from the Google API console and register the key to your application. We'll learn how to integrate a Google Map in your application, how to display different types of Google Maps, okay, how to style your Google Map, how to add markers, how to enable the user to place a marker on a point of interest. There's what we call POI, point of interest, okay? Also how to enable location tracking, and then how to create, and of course, we'll also build an application with that, and then how to create some custom features for your application, like the markers and styling, and then how to enable location tracking on the application that we're going to actually build. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be covering in this particular lesson. So like I said, we're going to be creating an application, okay, that will allow you to drop markers on locations, add overlays, see your location in real time. Okay, so that's actually that. So that being said, let's get right into it. So we're going to be creating a new project. Okay. Now, of course, I already opened Android Studio. So we're not going to be using an empty activity right now. So we're going to be using the Google Maps activity. Okay, that's a project template we're going to make use of. So I'm going to go say next. So for the name of the application, so very quickly, let me yeah. Okay, so let's name this locate me. Let's just call it the locate me. Let's just call it that. So I think I made, okay. So yeah, let's just do this. Okay, so okay, so yeah, let's set that up. So all that is building. So now the fact we are actually using the project map template, okay, so it will help us set up some basic XML files that we're going to be making use of. We'll actually see a Google Maps API XML, and it's with that we can use to hold our API key. So I'll show you how to generate the API key. Of course, there's one for the debug and one for the release. Okay, but we're basically going to be using the debug certificate. So we'll talk about that. So let's just build. So I get to show you, and then get to see how much you can explain each of them one by one. Okay, so okay, so I hope I actually created. I don't think I did. Okay, I don't think I did. So hold on, let's do this again. Let's do this again. I think I made a mistake. Okay, I didn't select the Google Maps. Yeah, I did not select it. So locate. I just have to use something different. So yeah, because is to generate. Yes, exactly. Good. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, so we actually need it. So you can actually see this Google Maps API XML. You can see a to-do. So before you run your application, you need a Google Maps API key. Okay, and there's a link already for us to follow for us to be able to create that. Okay, and of course you can also add your credentials to an existing key using your package name, your share certificate, and the likes. Okay, so so I'm just going to copy this link. Okay, copy this. I think I could just in browser. So I'll go to my console. So I'll just paste that there. So let that, while that is loading. So, well, of course, you can see the maps activity. So let's just do a quick rundown. Let's see what we have. So for the Google Maps API, you can see this is the debug. Okay, so this for the debug files. And then, of course, you know the debug, I know you have the release. Okay, so the file for the API key for the debug certificates, you can see it's your, excuse me, the resource folder, the values. That's where you get to find that. Okay. Now we also have the layout. Okay, the maps XML layout. Okay, so let me split this. So you see, we just have a fragment. Okay, so this contains just a single fragment that's just filling the entire screen. So it actually uses the support fragment class. You can see the name, the Android.name here. You have the Google rather .android GMS and the support map fragment. So it uses this support fragment class is a subclass of the fragment class. Okay, it's a subclass of the fragment class, and it's actually the simplest way to place a map in an application. So it's like a wrapper around a view of a map to automatically handle some necessary life cycle needs. Okay, so you can include it in a layout file just by using the name. Okay, fragment tag with the name attribute. Okay, and of course we have the maps activity. Okay, we have the maps activity. Okay, so what you can see here. So this instantiates support fragment map. Okay, it instantiates the support fragment in our own create. Okay, and then it uses the class get map async. Okay, to automatically initialize the map system and the view. Okay, so basically the activity that contains the support map fragment must implement the onMap ready callback. It must implement it. Okay, it must implement the onMap ready callback interface, and that interface onMap ready method. So we have this onMap ready method. So it must implement this method and then implement the onMap ready callback interface. Okay, so the onMap ready method is actually called when the map is loaded. So when the map is loaded, then we have the onMap ready method that has been called. So basically, if we try to run this app now, okay, it's actually failed to load. Let's just test that out. It will basically fail to load. Okay, and the basic reason is because we have not set our API key. Okay, we have not actually done that setup. So we'll actually need to set that up. We copied the link. Okay, so let's quickly let me place this here so you can easily see that. So let's create an API key. Okay, so let this just trying to kind of allow this to talk. But while that is doing, so let's just go here. So you can see, confirm project and that. So we can just select one, or you create a new project. Okay. So I'm just going to click next. You're about to enable this. So let's try. So set this up for top of this class. So let's from okay. Our emulator is still building up. Okay. So okay. So let's move. Okay. So this won't give us what we need. So let's get. I hope I'm not using the other API key. So let's move. This is done loading. Okay, so we need to open it. I guess my network is a bit. Okay, so let's name this locates me. Okay, and then let's just create. Okay, so let's just close that out. So let's. Yeah. So while this is loading, we'll just hold on for a bit. Let this thing. So I'm going to select this now and then enable, so I can get the API key. So yeah, I know this is going to take a bit of a time, but let's just, see, and then create new API key. Okay, so you can just copy that. Okay, so let's move. And then, so what do we do? Come back to the Google Maps. So here, of course, just following the instructions. Okay, so once you have your key, it starts with this, you can just replace it. So here that we have your key here. So I'll just place that here, and then that's actually that. So I can just rerun this now. Okay, so I can rerun that and then test that. So let's test that. Okay. So let's open up the log card in case we have any errors. We can actually do that. So yeah, let's see. We have not allowed to start service intent. So I think we have a report to fix. Let's see. Didn't find. Okay. So I think we still need to do it for the few set up. Let's see, and to confirm. UID. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I don't think we have. I've put the API key down here. So let's just rerun this. So let's just move forward. I think probably the API keys, because sometimes it takes a bit of a while to take effect, especially when you create a new API key. Sometimes you may, okay, so it's working fine now. It's working fine. So with our API key, we've been able to start up our application. Okay, now, but you can see this pointer and everything here is with respect to, a default latitude and longitude. Okay, this came by default, when we created this. So it's using the -34. So this is for Sydney. Okay, and then of course we can actually make our own adjustments. We can make our own adjustments. So first things first, I want to so let's do some refactoring. I kind of don't want this to be nmap, so let me just change this to maps. I'm just going to do a Shift F6 to rename, so it actually does that for every other place. Okay, so that's actually fine. So now let's now add some various map types. Remember, we talked about some certain types of maps. Now we have the normal map, okay, which you just saw. Okay, we have the satellite map, we have the hybrid map, and then we have the terrain map. Okay, those are the several types of maps. Okay, and then we also have the none, which is for no map at all. So each type of map provides different kinds of information. Okay, provides different types of kinds of information. For example, when you're using map for navigation in a car, it's helpful for you to use, street names. Okay, maps that shows street names. Okay, of course, it's far more helpful. You wouldn't want to use a satellite, or probably the one that shows the normal map which you're seeing right now. Okay, So when you're kind of hiking, okay, you would want to use a terrain map to decide how much more you have to climb to get to the top. So we're going to be adding, so for this, I will add an app bar, okay, that has an option menu so we can navigate, switch between map type. So let's do that. Let's do that quickly. So I'm just going to go to my resource directory. So let's do new resource. I'm going to call this map types. Okay, and then so it's going to be a menu resource type. So let's see how fast we can actually just write this code, and then so we're going to need so we have 4 normal, hybrid, satellite, and terrain. So I'm just going to add 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So let's do some very quick editing. So you know what? Let's just do this, and then I'll just duplicate. Okay, so first things first. Let me give this an ID, and this is going to be a normal map, and then let's see. Sorry, I need to. Okay, don't worry, I'll close that later. Let me just hold on. Okay, so okay, great. So normal map. Okay, and then the title is let's change the title to be normal map, and of course, let's just extract string resource. And then, so the show as action, of course, is going to be never. So yeah, let me duplicate this now. So we need 4. So for this is going to be the hybrid map. And I'm going to call this hybrid map. And then, of course, that doesn't exist, so I have to create it. And then the next one, satellites. Okay, so I'm going to create that also. Okay, sure. Should be the value. And then the final one will be terrain. Okay, so let's extract that quickly. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so we have our menu. Okay, so let's go set that up. So I'm going to call my on create options menu. Okay, so and I'm going to okay, let's just so let me see. Okay, I could just do menu. Okay, just do menu inflator dot inflate. Okay, and then dot menu dot map types, and then I'll pass in the menu, and then I'll just return true. Okay, and then I'll create on options item selected rather. Okay, so okay, so now this is for click. So let's see, and let's do this quickly. I could just So let's say, so when we have, when the item ID, okay, what do we do? So when it is the normal map, okay, what do we want to do? So when is the normal map? So we're going to use our map instance now. So the map type, we get the type of the map, okay? So then I'll call the Google map dot map type, map type was normal. So when it's normal, it should give us the normal that, and then of course, I'm going to say true. So I'm just going to copy this quickly. We don't have time. So when it is the hybrid, when it's the hybrid map, okay, so our map type should be hybrid. And when it is the satellites, our map type should be satellites. So you can see we also have none, meaning no map. And then when it is terrain, our map type should be terrain. Okay. So well, let's see. So we are returning true. So let's do something. So let me just take this. So let's say so let me just do some stuff. So I'm going to switch this. So instead of saying this, let me just do this instead. So let this be equal to, then I can take this out. Okay, so this is better. So the value of our options item selected, okay, so just give me a second. Sorry, I need to share my screen again. Okay, please confirm you can see my screen, please. Confirm. Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, so basically we've actually set up our menu. Okay, we've also set up the for it when you click the normal map option. Okay, so the map type should be normal. Okay, when you click on the hybrid, the map type should be hybrid, and the likes. Okay, so let's just run this to be sure we don't have any issues. Let's hold. Okay, let's see if that builds normally. Okay, so I may have to, so let me share my full screen so we can see the emulator. Okay, so just reinstall and restart. Okay. Okay, so that's fine. So we have our option menu here. So of course, this is for the normal map, and then so hybrid. So you can see this is the hybrid map. Okay, you can see that's the hybrid map. Then we can switch to satellite. So this is from the satellite perspective. This from the satellite perspective, and then we can switch back. Let's go to terrain. Yeah, so you can actually see for terrain. So let's take it back to normal. Now, okay, so let's continue. Let's continue. So let's add markers, okay? Let's add markers to our app. So by default, okay, the onMapReady, you can say our onMapReady function, the callback, it includes code that places a marker in Sydney. Okay, that's Australia. Okay, so that's the default callback. It also animates the map to, kind of pan to Sydney and everything. So what we're basically going to do, I will change it to make the maps camera move to your home. So zoom to a level you specify and place a marker there. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this code. Let's remove this. Okay, let's remove this. Now, I'm going to let's create a latitude. So I'm just going to give it let's just give it any value. I'm not sure what I'm actually giving here, but let's just, not really sure where this is going to take us to, but longitude, so latitude and longitude. So let's say of -100. Just don't really know what I am doing, but okay. So yeah. So now we're now going to create a new lat long object, that is latitude longitude object. Okay, and then we'll use that object to pass in this value. So I'm going to say let's say home, let's say home lat, that is the latitude and longitude of my own home. Okay, so a new object from the lat long class, and this takes in two things, the latitude and the longitude. So I'm going to pass in latitude and longitude. Okay, so next thing, let's create a value for, to represent how zoomed in we want to be on the map. Okay, so we're going to say zoom level, and that's let's give it a 15, or let's say 16F. So this zoom level, it controls how zoomed in you are on the map. Okay, so now let me give you an idea of what level of detail each level of zoom shows. Now, when you have a zoom level of 1, it shows the world. When you have 5, it shows the landmass or the continents. When you have 10, so this should actually be, so when you have 10, you have the city. When you have 15, you have the streets. And then we have 20, you have the buildings. So those are the various zoom levels. So we're using the zoom level of 1. So you have the world view, the 5 landmass or continents, 10 you have city, 15 you have streets, and then 20 you have buildings. So next thing we want to do is to move the camera to our home latitude and longitude by calling the move camera function on the map object. Okay, so we're going to say map.move camera. So I'm going to pass in, okay, so I'm going to call the camera update factory, okay, dot new latitude longitude zoom. So here I'm going to just pass in my home latitude longitude and then the zoom value, so the zoom level, right? Then the last thing, well, not really last for now, but I'm going to add a marker. So I'm going to use my map object. So dot add marker. Okay. Now for the marker, I'm going to call my marker options class or the other. So marker options dot position. Okay, dot position. And then what's the position? So I'm going to pass in my home latitude, longitude variable that I created. So let's see what we have when we test this out. Let's see what we have. Okay, so this is what we have. Well, the value, like I said, I don't really know the value that I put in there, but so we're actually going to change that. We'll change that later. Change that later. So, well, that's that. Let me switch to, so we can check the hybrid. Okay, so this is how zoomed in. Okay, let's see. So, so I want to get, let me do something. Let me get my own location. Okay, so let's actually give a very, let's get a very good sense. So let me come here. How to, so on this support.google/maps, you can discover coordinates or search. So you can enter the coordinates to find a place, or you get coordinates of a place. So let me just open Google Maps and get some actual coordinates. So let's see. So this is, let me search for, now I'm currently in Eket. So let me just use something that's a bit closer to where I am. So this is it, Eket airstrip. So just right clicking on it, you can now see the latitude and the longitude. So I copy that, and then let's go back to this. Let me just paste this here and then see. Okay, so I'm going to take this. So this will replace my, and then I'm going to take this one to replace the longitude. Okay, so let's run this again. So this should give us a much more concise stuff. Let's see. So I'm actually using an emulator though. So, but let's see if this can give us. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It does give us. So yeah. So this is a bit close to. So this is funny enough. This is where I actually get bread. Okay, so let's move on. So we can also see it from the hybrid perspective. You can see it from the satellite map. Then, of course, from the terrain perspective. So this is from the terrain. So let's just go back to the normal map. Okay, so let's move on. Now let's allow users to add a marker using a long click, because if I long click on this now, nothing happens. It just zooms in. Okay, but I want them to be able to add a marker. And you notice I've zoomed in, I've not been able to zoom out. Well, we'll work out those stuff. So first of all, let's allow users to add a marker using a long click. Okay, so we're going to create a method to do that. I'm going to create a method to do that. So let me just Control-Alt-L. Okay, good. So let's do that quickly. So I'm going to call the method set, let's say set map long click. It's called that. And then, so it's going to take a map as, sorry, that should be Google Map as a parameter.
Okay, he just had some network issue. I'll still be back.
Okay, sorry about that. Had some network issues. Can you hear me now? Hello, confirm you can hear me, please. Before we move on. Okay, good. You can hear me. So yeah, so we're adding a marker. So sorry about that. So we want to, in case it actually went off for a long while, we basically want to allow users to add marker using a long click. Okay, so we're creating a separate function to do that, and then using our map objects, we are now calling the set on map long click listener. And then inside that, we'll now call the add marker, and then we'll call get our map options. Okay. Dot position. So what position? So the position is just going to be the lat long. So for that now, so I'm going to pass it rather. So which is our lat long. Remember, we're using a lambda. Okay, so and then I'll just call it at the end of this on map ready. I'll just call the function we created, which is the set map long click, and then I'm passing the map. Okay, so let's test that now. So I'm going to click and then run that. Then I'll try to, press and hold to do a long click. So yeah, I have to reinstall and restart. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so let me just long click on this. So yes, I actually just long clicked. Let me long click again so you can see I'm able to add a marker. Okay, I'm ready to add a marker. So of course, wherever you add a marker, when you click on the marker, it now centers it on the screen. Okay, so just note that. So whenever a marker is tapped, okay, navigation buttons actually appear. You can see these guys. Okay, so let's now go to the actual Google map. This is my emulator, so I don't really want to do the whole sign stuff. Okay, so so let's move on. Let's move on. So let's add what we call an info window. Okay, basically, so when you click on this particular marker, you should be able to know, the location of that place. Okay, or at least get to see a message or the latitude and longitude of that particular place. So to do that, I'm going to do that in this function. Okay, so let's do this. So just before adding the marker, let me create a let's say info window, and then let me just give a format to it. Okay, so format, let's get a look, and then let me just do. Okay, and then for now, let me just. So this is the format. So latitude, and then for the long. Okay. Then we can just get, so say it dot latitude and it dot longitude. So basically, this info window is just going to be, a text displayed, after the title. Okay, that's basically what it's going to just be. Okay, so I think, yeah, so we'll need to now make use of that. So I'm going to call it in our add marker by, so let's take this down to this line. So I can now say dot set title, or just title rather. So for set title, and then let's say, so let me, so I'm going to create, I'll create this actually. Let's just say dropped. Okay, so yeah, and then so then I call this snippets. Okay, so it's with this snippet I can now pass in my info window variable. Okay, so let's see what that gives us. Let's actually see what that gives us. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, Gradle still building. So while that is building, so another thing we would want to do is to add a POI listener. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing next. We want to add a POI listener. POI is basically points of interest. Okay, points of interest. That's basically what that is. So let me just, so I'm going to long click to create a marker, and then when I click on it, you can see dropped pin, and then you can see latitude, which is okay, of course, for where it was created. So if I click on, let's create another one here, you can see that, create another one here, you can see that. Okay, so that's actually that. So let's move on. So we are adding a point of interest. Okay, so now by default, okay, POIs, they appear on the map along with their corresponding icons. Okay, so they include, like you can see all these points of interest here. So they include probably schools, government buildings, parks, and the likes. Okay, so when the map type is actually normal, just like what we have here, you can also see business POIs also on your screen. Okay, so of course, business PIs are just businesses. They represent businesses, like a shop, restaurants, hotels, and the likes. So let's add a POI listener to this application. So basically what it's going to do, this listener places a marker on the map immediately when the user clicks a POI. So it's just going to, it's going to display an info window that contains the POI name. Okay, so I'm going to create a separate function to do that. I'm going to call this function set PO I click, and then of course it's going to take in the map as a parameter, and then with that I'm going to call the set on POI click listener. So you can see that already here. So I can decide to use it here, or I can just decide to put POI to represent my it. Okay, here I could also just, use lat long or whatever variable I want, okay, to represent that. So I'm going to create a POI marker for a variable actually to hold that. So I'm going to say, let's say about POI marker. Did I just say port? POI marker, okay. So I'm going to now call my map object and then add a marker. So with that, I'll just call my marker options, get the position, and the position I'm going to pass in our POI, which is a point of interest, and then I'll pass in, let's see, okay, home latitude, longitude. Can I see that? Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I think I need to open up something. Let's see. Looking for, okay. So we need to add the latitude and the longitude. So, okay, so I think I was missing. Yeah, so this point of interest, yes. And then add the title, which is the point of interest. So get the name. So using that, we're going to get the name from that listener. Okay, and then finally, still in the set dots on poiClick listener, I'm going to call the show window function. So I'm going to say POI marker dot show info window. Okay, so yeah, so for no checks and the likes, yeah. And then of course I need to call this in our map ready. So and they're passing the map. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so and then click on this. Okay, so let's see. We have a lot of POIs here. So let's see. So you see when I click on this particular point of interest, you see the name pop up. Okay, see the name pop up, which is very. Let's click on this. You see time delicacies. Okay, mega royal guest house. So when I click on the point of interest, I get to see the name. Okay, just like we actually, what we actually want to do. We're getting the name. So that's actually that. I'm gonna check something. Okay. So you can actually get the place ID. You can set the title to be the place ID. You can set the title to be the latitude and the longitude, so that's just a lot of things you can actually do. Okay, so that's actually that's how to add markers. Okay, now another thing is how we can style our map. Okay, we can actually customize our Google map in a lot of ways. You understand? We can actually do it probably using the XML attributes. Okay, but you can also Google can actually just help you style that. Okay, so I'm going to go to just gonna do something. So I'm going to go to map styles dot with Google. Yeah. So let's style it from here. Let me show you how to actually create a style for your map here. So let's just use the old style wizard. Okay, so let's see. So we have standards. This is silver. This is retro, dark. Wow, dark is nice. And then, well, you can actually just do whichever one you like. Okay, so I'll tell you what to do probably for your task. But for this one, let's use retro. Okay, and then so once you've chosen that, okay, you can actually can click on more options. So when you click on more options, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things here, country and the likes. Okay, so you can change the color of the roads. Let's see. Like you have roads. Assuming I open this up, this is the element type. So for the road, you have geometry, fill, stroke. So I can decide that, okay, fine. I don't want the roads to be yellow. I can choose a different color. I could say blue for the roads. I can decide the weight. saturation, the lightness, a lot of things you can actually just do. And even decide the icon and a lot of things. So, but that's not really what we're here to. You can actually just try that out. So I'm just going to click on finish. And then you can see we have a JSON, okay, to export. So you can copy the JSON, copy the URL. So these are instructions for you. So let's get that. So let's add this style. So in our REST directory, let me just go back to Android Studio. So I'm going to create a resource directory and I'm going to name it raw. So an Android resource directory. So I'm going to name this raw. Okay. And then inside, I'm going to now create a file. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so let me just do something. Okay, so let me paste this are JSON. Just copy that. Let me paste that here. Okay, so yeah, so this is actually the style. So how do we use it? So I'm going to come back to my main activity, okay, and then I'm going to create it a variable, a tag. So I'm going to just say, okay. Then get the maps activity. That's simple name. I'm going to explain that. Okay, so basically what we're actually going to use this for is just for login purpose. Okay, this tag is just for login purposes. Okay, so let's now create a set map style function. Okay, that will take in a Google map as a parameter. Okay, just like we did for other ones. So I'm going to say function set map style. Okay, and then takes in the map. Okay, so in here, we're going to use a try and catch block. So we're going to try. So okay, so if it is successful, so we're going to have map dot set map style. Okay, and then we'll call the map style options dot load raw resource style. Okay, and then it takes a context. So we're going to pass in this, and then we'll pass in the resource ID, so which is r.raw dot map style. Okay, which is what we created. Okay, so now let's just make this let's make it an if statement. Okay, let's make it an if statement. So let's just do something. I want us to add an if statement for success being false. So, so you understand, if the styling is unsuccessful, should just print out a log. So let me just do it, pin it here. So if it is not successful, and so if this is false, then let's do a log. So pass in that our tag that we created, and then could just give a message style parsing unsuccessful. Okay. And of course, you need to add a catch block. So you need to add a catch block. So for the catch, I'm just going to get my exceptions. So get my exception, did not found exception, and then just still, let's just get this. So for the message, let's just say can't find style. So, okay. And then, so let's see. And then we'll now, so what will be the error? Okay. Just now going to call passing E there. Okay, so to get the actual error, so that's why we actually passed that. So finally, we'll just call this set map style. Just call it in on map ready, and then of course pass in the map. So let's test this. Let's test this quickly. Let's test this quickly. Okay, so yeah, we need to apply changes, and we may need to reinstall and restart. Yes. Yeah, adding or removing a field, of course, requires an app restart. So let's check this out now. So we are on normal, using the normal map. Okay. I think my emulator it's no longer connected to the internet. Okay, so let me just close it and open it again, and hopefully it connects back. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so but let's see how that actually looks like. Okay, so and then we'll actually just style our marker, based on that. Let's see how to style our marker. So hopefully the emulator is connected now. Okay, yes, so you can actually see our style. Okay, you can actually see our style. So let's see. Yeah. So this is our style. That's nice. It kind of looks good also. So just trying to zoom in around and zoom in and the likes. Okay, so we have applied a style. So but I think let me see. Okay, let's just move on. I don't think we're missing out anything. So let's just style our marker. Okay, so where we have our on map, where is this guy? Okay, yeah. So I want us to add a marker, because you can actually personalize your app by styling the map markers. You can style the map markers actually. You can change it from this default red to something much more interesting. So basically what I'll just do, I'm just going to, after this snippet, I'll just say dot icon, and then just going to get something from the bitmap descriptor factory. Okay, and then say dot default marker. You can actually see that. And then so I get my bitmap descriptor factory dots. Let's use this hue blue. Yeah, so let's run it and then see if the marker changes. Let's see if the marker changes to blue. So let's see. Yeah. So let's move from here. So let's see how this looks and come back here. Okay. So I think okay. So we added this to so you can see the marker is now blue. Now the default one, this one is still red because we did not add this to, to this part, to the set POI. Okay, so of course, if we did that, then we can change that quickly. Okay, so but we just added this default ones when you actually long click. Okay, when you long click and add a marker, that's the one we are changing the colors. And of course, clicking, it still shows you the drop pin. It shows you the latitude and longitude of that particular I think we just have, let's see, like 2 things to do probably before we round up. So basically, let's see how we can actually add an overlay. Okay, let's see how we can just add something like an overlay. Okay, because you can actually customize your Google Map by drawing on top of it. Okay, of course, it's useful when you want to highlight a particular type of location. Okay, so you can use shapes. Okay, you can also use ground overlay objects. So a ground overlay is just an image that is fixed to a map. Okay, so unlike the markers that we have, ground overlays are oriented to the Earth's surface rather than to the screen. So rotating, tilting, or zooming the map changes the orientation of the image. Yeah. So they're actually useful when you wish to fix a single image in one area on the map. Okay, so let's see how we can add an overlay. So I need to get, let me see if I can get let's see if I can get an image. Sorry about that. I think I stopped sharing. Let me get that back. So I'm just we're going to use an Android image actually. So let me just get that quickly. Okay, so okay, back to sharing. Okay, so I'm going to add a drawable here. So I just paste something I've gotten. So just using an Android. Okay, so how do we do that? So pretty much it's actually not very not difficult. So I'll just do it in my own map ready. Just after that, after we move this, so let me call it overlay. Okay, so I'm going to use the ground overlay options. Okay, yeah, ground overlay. So I'm basically just getting an instance. Okay, just getting the objects. So then I'm going to say .image. So we're going to use the bitmap descriptor factory again. Okay, so basically we're going to use that to create a bitmap descriptor object from the downloaded image resource, the one I just added. So I'm going to say, let me use this one. Okay, so that will now pass in bitmap descriptor factory dot from resource. And then I'm going to now say my drawable dot Android. Okay, so then let's create, we're going to create a float overlay size for the width in meters of that overlay. Okay, so we're going to use a width of, let's say like 100. Let me just put that just above here. Overlay size of 100. Let's use that. Okay, so now, so the overlay, and then let's get the position. So from the position, I'll still add my home latitude, longitude, and then for the width, okay, I'm just going to pass overlay size. Okay, that will just represent the width. Okay. So after that, I'm just going to call my map dot add ground overlay, and then I'm going to pass in my overlay. Okay, so let's run this application now. Let's see what happens right now. Okay, peace, you're welcome to the call. Caller, you're also welcome. Yeah, so let's reinstall and restart. So let's see what we have right now. Let's see what we have right now. Let's see what we have to this. Okay, so you can see we actually have an overlay. Okay, though it's small, but you see we have an overlay, but though it's small. So let's see. What if I change this to 18, the zoom level? Okay, what if I change the zoom level to 18? So you can see it's much more bigger. So it's actually what it acts as an overlay. Okay, so that's how to add that. So let's do the last one. How to enable tracking, location tracking. Okay, because users often use Google Maps to see their current location, and then to display the device location on your app, you can use the location data layer. So the location data layer just adds my location icon to the map. Okay, so when the user taps on the button, the map centers on the device's location. And then, of course, location is shown as a blue dot, okay, if your device is stationary. And then as a blue, what we call a blue chevron, if the device is moving. So let's just do that. So first of all, we need to request location permission. So go to our manifest. You need to request location what permissions. Okay, so you can actually see we have something here, but we can actually, okay, so this gives us this by default. So it said access class / file location permissions are not required to use Google Maps Android API version, but you must specify either class or find location permissions for the my location functionality. So if you need to access fine, you must request. Okay, oh, that's fine. So Android actually gave us this, but let's move on. So I'm going to go here. Since Android Studio gave that to us. So let's create a class variable. Private val. Let's say request location permission. Okay. And then just give it a default value of 1. Okay, so so to check if permissions are granted, we have to create a method in the maps activity. Okay, we'll create a method in maps activity, and then we'll call the is permission granted. So because it's in this method, we'll check if the user has granted permission. Okay, so let's create a separate function. So I'm going to function, let's say is permission. Oh, sorry. Okay, is permission granted. Okay, so now this will return a boolean. Okay, to return true or false. Boolean. Okay, so we're going to just return so context compact. Let's check self permission. Okay, and then of course it takes a context. So passing this and then passing the permission. So to get the permission, I'll just call access it using the manifest dot. Okay, I think I'm using the wrong manifest. I need to use the Android. Okay, dot permission dot access. Access find location. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Okay, so we're having same boolean. So what we're returning. Okay, let me confirm this. Okay. Okay, then you pass on that. Okay, so yeah. So we'll get that access find permission, and then we need to check if it is equal to package rather package. Have this package manager dot permission granted. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so we need to check if that is actually equal to that. Sorry. This needs to come out actually. So check if this permission actually is equal to that. Okay. So basically what I do is to check if permissions are granted. Okay. That's basically what we're checking now. Okay. So what basically just checking if the user has granted what they are granted what permission. Now, so to enable the location tracking in the application, we'll now have to create a method. We'll do that, and let's call it enable. Let's say enable location or location enabled. It's just okay. Well, this is not going to return anything. It's not needing a parameter. So what we're going to say now, if is permission granted, okay, if is permission granted. So if this is true, okay, what do? We'll say map dot is my location enabled, and then we'll pass that password true, okay. But if it's false, if it's not true, okay, that means if permission was not actually granted, we'll actually have to request permission again. Okay, so basically, let's see. CVT compact request permission. Then passing context, and then let's see an array of string. Just be a bit explicit. So get the manifest. Android. Permission rather, and got access find location. Sorry about that. And then I'll pass in the request location permission that we created. Okay, so so this calls requires permission which may be rejected by user. So code should explicitly check to see if permission is available. Okay, so well, we can actually just do this, but this is kind of like a long. But let's just keep that at this first. So now let's call the enable location enabled function in maps ready. So just gonna call this here. So this doesn't take any parameters. Now, so we're going to override a method, the onRequest permission results method. Basically, we're going to check if the request code is equal to the request location permission. And if it is, that means that the permission is granted. If the permission is granted, we'll also have to check if the grant results array, okay? If the grant results array, okay, contains the package manager permission granted in the first slot. And of course, if that is true, then we'll now call enable location. So but what we're going to do, let's see, I think I will request, so on request permission or result. Okay, so I'm just going to clear this. So I'm going to say if the request code equals the request location permission, okay, if that's actually true, what do we want to do? So we'll also do another check to check if our grant results, contains, if it contains, package manager, right? Package manager. Why do I like to call it packets? Okay, package manager and then dot permission granted. Okay, and then if that is also true, then enable location enabled. Yeah. Okay, so okay, says we should add it on super. Okay. Okay, so so let's see. Let's run this now. I think so well, for those of you that will be using the emulator, okay, if the location may not be available, if you haven't used the emulator settings to set the location button may not actually show. So this is a new emulator, so I really doubt I may be able to see it. But let's just try our luck. But basically, you can actually see the location. So of course, so let's just deny it. Let's deny it. Okay, so that's also fine. So close this and then let's open. Okay, so what's the name of application? Okay, yeah. So you can actually see this. So I'm going to allow. Okay, so luckily you can see the location icon. Okay, so of course, if I click on it, it takes me down. So let's do something. Okay, it's a lot of things. I think I'm kind of moving a bit further away. Okay, so I think I'm not, probably because I'm not used to this. I'm not actually set up. Yeah, I'm not actually set up this because of my. So I would like to run this with my phone because I don't think I'll have the time to set up data. Okay, so I'll just run this on my phone and drop a screenshot for us to actually see how that works. Okay, so but while we are doing that, if you have any questions, okay, please do well to ask. Okay, because we are actually rounding up. We're actually rounding up. So if you have a question, you can actually just ask quickly while we actually round up. Any question? Any question? Okay, so it actually works on my phone. So I'll share a screenshot with you guys. So I'll set this up much later because the class time needs to hold soon. So I'll set the emulator and then guide you guys on how to do that for some of us who for some of us who want to, make use of emulators instead of running a device. Okay, so code first is saying, how can we set the marker to the user's current location immediately the app starts? Well, it depends on where you're calling it now. Okay, you can actually set it, depends on where you're calling it. So you can just call it your own create. So first of all, you can see this location enabled. Okay, now our map ready is called in our we are overriding this on map ready function. So you can actually just call it in your own create. Try that out. Okay, so because what you're saying is immediately the application starts, okay, we want to just set the marker to the current location. How can we set the marker? So first of all, how did we set markers here? So you need to be able to get your current location. So once you get your current location, use the map ready, because when you're setting your marker, now the marker comes in, just like we actually did. So first of all, we have the POI, we have the map style. Now, when we were setting up our map, okay, you can see that we added the marker here. So this marker is using a fixed in map, fixed in latitude and then longitude that we are using. So this is just fixed. So in getting it, basically what you now need to do is to get your current location and just pass it here. I'm trying not to answer the question because for some reason that's what I wanted to give as a task. But now you're asking, and I'm trying not to answer, but I'm just trying to give you something like a hint. Trying to give something like a hint. Just trying to give you something like a hint. Okay, so that's actually one of the things I wanted to give as a task, amongst other things. So, but I'm just giving you a hint, okay? So instead of actually fixing this, sort of hard coding this, it's just to get your current location. And then when you're adding your marker here, you're passing in that current location, you understand, into this particular call for add marker. Okay, so that's just how you do that. So we're going to be rounding up now. Okay, we're going to round up now. So if you have any questions, okay, let's just do that on the Slack workspace. Your task will be dropping tomorrow. Okay, 12 p.m. tomorrow. Your promotional task to stage 13 drops. Okay, so make sure you're online to get that. Okay, and the submission deadline, of course, is going to be more strict. So make sure you do it on time. Okay, so guys, thank you very much. Okay, and have a